This is Parker. I was asked another question. The question was, why do homeless people commonly sleep on hard concrete sidewalk when there are grassy areas everywhere? That's the question. And here's the answer. A former coworker who had a tendency not to show up for work from time to time was eventually discovered living in his car parked in the parking lot of the office building where we all worked. At one point, his car, still parked in the parking lot, was repossessed. Wow, Ken was at work. He couldn't even rustle up the funds to get his car back, which he apparently had been hiding from the bank for a few months. The offer of an office to sleep in, our boss and the whole entire team felt bad for him. Not only because he was very far down on his luck, but because he just seemed to be having a hard life. Our boss arranged for him to sleep in one of the empty offices. After a week, Ken vanished completely. The office where he had been sleeping was empty, and he did not show up for work. After a full week of being absent, my boss had no other choice but to terminate him. But didn't have any way to notify him. A month after he vanished from the office, Ken showed up to pick up his last paycheck. Big red spots covered him all over his face and body. I offered to take him across the street for lunch since I suspected he might be hungry. You know, I always liked Ken, and I felt really terrible for him. Sleeping on grass resulted in mosquitoes attacks. During our lunch, he told me he had disappeared from the office where he was sleeping because he was always struggling with personal problems, making it difficult for him to concentrate on his job. Instead, he decided just to move on. If he didn't show up for work, he figured he couldn't keep sleeping in the office our boss provided. There was a park within walking distance of the office. He had slept there the first night on the grass by a small pond, not considering the possibilities he got completely bit up by the mosquitoes. That explained all the red spots. America is famous for all kinds of bugs and critters. They're huge and they will bite anything in their area. He also stepped on a fire ant mound and they swarmed him. He was worried about ticks, but didn't see any. Who knows if they bit him or not? An encounter with a snake in the grass. Besides all the bugs and ants, he encountered a scary snake. Finally, he was run off by a policeman who warned him that he couldn't sleep in the park. Luckily, he just got a warning. After wandering around, he found a large bush in front of a close by office park. He managed to sleep there behind the bush, although he got all scratched up by the branches. He said the bush reeked of urine. He also told me the grass all around the bushes had a strong chemical smell. Hiding out in the construction zone. Eventually, he found an empty space in a new construction area where he could hide out and sleep inside. Anyway, he did it away from the hazard of the grass. With the last check he got, he said he wanted to go to an area with a homeless shelter. He had been offered by other team members, but he declined for whatever reason he felt. You know, I was never sure about that. One of our team members drove him to the area, which had a large public library and a church, which allowed homeless people to sleep on the grounds. Our team took up a collection so that he could have some money and food to tie him over, in addition to his last paycheck. The takeaway? Homeless people commonly sleep on a hard concrete sidewalk when there are grassy areas everywhere because they probably don't want to get bit up by an array of bugs, ants, ticks, spiders, mice, rats, raccoons, squirrels, or similar, or having a risk of a snake encounter. They also probably don't want to risk sprinkler systems, fertilizer toxins, dogs or cat urine, or feces. Depending on the area of grass, it might also have a lot of fertilizer, which is also common on some properties and lawns. Who could ever guess that concrete would be so much better than grass?